as the flyer suggested, Sanjay, I think we can go ahead with that, right? You started the streaming.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, thank you very much, Sanjay, and especially those who have joined today. And also you will be listening or watching these videos a little later because we are going to archive through YouTube and we will broadcast and we'll share with all the platforms where you can have the accessibility of at any time. So we have a very special 3 panelists today, very experienced, I could say. And they all are graduated from University of Peradeniya, Faculty of Engineering from different disciplines. And they represent E01, technically it's 2001 intake batch. If you have gone through or you managed to see the flyer says that MPlus monthly forums. So MPlus is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a collective voluntary effort started with few of the alumni from University of Peradeniya. Then now we are going to expand it to worldwide with all the well-wishers. And it says the monthly forum, which means we are planning to have the monthly forums, and it is the December monthly forum. The discussion is all about today's scope is how to enter to the industry with confidence. And this is mainly focusing for the young graduates or those who have entered to the industry recently, or else if any of you are trying to change your career or you're trying to move from different field or you're trying to elevate yourself to the next level, I think this could be a very good platform. And these discussions could be a very good beginning for all of you. The points today we are going to discuss about the best practices of preparing a strong and attractive CV, how industry professionals look at your CV. So those 2 points will be covered by Engineer Maitri Athanayaka. And the third and fourth topics under transferable skills for young engineers and bridging the gap between industry and academia will be covered by Engineer Randhika Disanayaka, who will be our first presenter today. And last but not least, one of the key and most important parts in your life, pursuing the passion of the life and the work-life balance, will be shared by one of the prominent engineer technically, but he has a lot of accolades behind. I'll share those profiles a little later. That will be covered by engineer Indika Jayasuriya. So for you to go ahead with the presentations and the panel discussion, what we're going to do, we'll have a co-presentations about 15 to 20 minutes by 3 presenters, where we are not going to interrupt them by question and answer, question or raising clarifications. So if you have them, you can either write it down and later you have a session or time for you to raise your questions, or else you can use the chat box to raise any of your clarifications. Without wasting much of the time, let me start with our first presenter today. He's Engineer Randhika Disanayaka. He'll be covering 2 key topics where we have put in our flyer. And just to give a brief introduction, he has a plenty portfolio I can share, but if I'm to highlight key areas, he started his career as a biomedical engineer. He's graduated from University of Peradeniya from Electrical and Electronics Department. And first he started with general engineering, healthcare as a biomedical engineer. Then he moved as a project manager to Philips Medical Systems and later the Chief Executive Officer of IMS Holding. And currently he serves as the Service Manager for Sri Lanka and Maldives for, again, GE Healthcare from 2020 onwards. Apart from technical and professional career, he is a proud all boy of Dharmaraju College, and he's the Vice President of All Boys Union. At the same time, he's operating in Colombo with a lot of works with, I can say, Candy Schools Past People Association. He's the secretary currently. And he's a passionate footballer, rugby player, cricketer, and hiking enthusiast, and a traveler. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on screen Engineer Randhika Disanayaka to start the presentation today. He's our first resource person, and the screen is yours, Randhika.
Thank you, Nalin. That is too kind of you. Let me share my slides. First of all, Sanjay, can you confirm that I'm audible? Yeah, very well. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Okay. Warm welcome to all of you joining from. I suppose all of you are joining from Sri Lanka. Why we are here is so that we can give back a little bit of our experience and some of the things that we have learned after passing out from the Faculty of Engineering. So I will try as much as possible to limit my talk to theories and to focus a little bit more on experiences and learnings to transfer my learnings to you. The topic that I'm given today is transferable skills for young graduates. Young graduates in this case are predominantly the engineering graduates that we have here. Before we go into transferable skills, because you are a fresh graduate batch or about to be graduated, as I understand, let's talk a little bit about how you transition from your world within Peradeniya into the wider world, the industry. We understand that from the day that you joined the Faculty of Engineering, you are given some exposure to the life of an engineer. Some of you would have taken it far if you've gone on field visits, and if you've gone, say, the civil people would have gone on survey camps, etc. And then you go on complete your industrial training as well in all disciplines. So you've got a little bit of a taste. But all of that you do as undergraduates. What we would like to do here is discuss a little bit about how you transition from this to becoming a fully fledged engineer. What is required? What can you do while you are an undergraduate? Well, what I can say is focus on the very basic things, very primary things. As an engineer, you're definitely not going to go and practice the most advanced thing that you learn from day one. Therefore, to learn on the job, to be able to learn on the job, you have to be able to apply the basics. The basics should be your ABC. The basics, there is no compromise. You absolutely must master them. Right? This transition from, as you can see, from undergraduate to young professional to senior professional, the transition happens in an instant. One moment you are an undergraduate, next moment you are an engineer. What does it even mean? What can you expect when you become an engineer? When you go into the industry, you are always treated as a manager. An engineer is instantly a middle level manager position. You are an executive. You will have people reporting to you. You will have responsibilities that are beyond somebody who is starting the job, but you are also someone who is embarking on a corporate journey. But the expectation from you is higher. Why? Because you go as somebody who has an idea of what to do in your job. The job will not teach you everything. They will teach you about the organization, what is expected of you, but they will understand that you have had a training in engineering that you can apply there. That is what is expected of you. What can you expect from the industry? You've heard of soft skills, you've heard of hard skills. Why are they called hard skills? This is a forum where we cannot interact, so I will go on explaining. You can, of course, come back to me at the forum with any question. Hard skills are what you learn in your curriculum that you can apply. Soft skills. What are soft skills? Well, they can be defined in multitude of ways, but predominantly they are what you learn on your own. Simply put, right? So some of the skills, some of the features of a young graduate that is expected of you. When you're an engineer, first of all, you need to be analytical. That is your training. You must record, analyze, and you have to be able to articulate it. Then there are so many other things that come in between. I'm not going to go each of them. Why I listed here is to show that there are things that you do with the brain and things that you do with your heart. But I've located both of them in your head. What you need to do is gather skills. Upskill yourself. Upskilling. What does upskilling mean? Upskilling means learning on the job. Making sure that you've got the right set of skills to be able to perform the task at hand. Right? So where do transferable skills come from? Are they soft skills? Are they hard skills? Transferable skills can be soft or hard. Some of the skills that you have, let's say a software engineer, the skill that you have in debugging is a hard skill, but it is entirely transferable because it is not about debugging a certain set of codes. Within that scope, from company to company, they can be transferred. But can they be transferred from industry to industry? Well, that is debatable. Some of them can be. We will look at some of those things. What can you transfer then? Most of the time, soft skills can be considered transferable. What are these soft skills? We will not look at soft skills individually because you may have come across these things. So my presentation today is more in the lines of what transferable skills are applicable to young engineers. Right? We are going to focus on you entirely. The skill set that you develop from the day you're born, through your school, through the university, through the academic curriculum and outside the academic curriculum. When you learn and acquire a certain set of skills, the way you apply them make them transferable. Without application, the skills are worthless. There is nothing that you can do with a very strong set of skills if you're unable to apply them. But most of our people, of course, have the ability to apply your skills. Recognizing where to apply your skills, what to apply your skills to, could make the difference in your early career. Let's see what transferable skills could be most industry appealing. Can somebody unmute and tell me? I don't think anybody is allowed to unmute. Is it Sanjay that you are following? You are with me so far, because I think I am reaching half a stage of my presentation. I will consider that you are with me so far. Right? I have categorized some of the transferable skills. I have condensed some basic skills into core areas, skill areas, so to speak, so that it is easy for us to analyze. Transferable skills are mostly soft skills. One key feature of transferable skills is that it is very, very difficult to measure them, to quantify them. Hard skills can be measured. Hard skills can be quantified. Hard skills can be easily articulated. You can tell somebody, I know this at this stage. You know this particular software at expert level, at intermediate level. But soft skills are not like that. Even though you are at a certain stage of soft skill competence, it might not make it possible for you to apply it as it is in another industry. We are talking of industry itself, but you might actually think about application of those skills beyond industry, right? Beyond the industry, in another industry, cross-industry transfers. Then you might have some life situations where you apply these things, because soft skills once learned, they stay with you. Hard skills need to be sharpened almost repetitively so that they stay with you. Some of the hard skills that I've learned at the university, some of the skills actually have stayed with me, like electromagnetism really applies to me. Power electronics, I really apply them all the time. So they stay with me. But some of the skills that I've learned at the university, like mathematics, I can't remember or recall anything actually. I think most of the engineers who have been in the industry for 15 plus years will agree with me that some of the skills that you've learned, some of the learnings, they don't stay with you if you don't sharpen that. But some of the skills stay with you. I keep applying electromagnetism, I keep applying power electronics, so they stay with you. But soft skills, once learned, once adopted to, they can stay with you for much longer. Let's look at these things a little closely. Communication. Now, when you say communication, a transferable skill that is applicable to a young engineer or an engineer. Communication is not only about speaking and writing. It is also about being able to understand the way the other person communicates. Say, for example, body language. How can you read another person's body language? This is a very important skill to understand. The way that projects move forward in an organization is through effective communication, proper communication, unprejudiced communication. Make communicate කරනවා කියලා අදහස් කරන්නේ information ටිකක් දීලා දාන එක නෙමෙයි. තේරුම් ගන්න. අනිත් කෙනාව තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. තේරුම් ගන්න communication very important. ඒගොල්ලන්ට අපිට තරම් communication skills නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. but අපිට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ prejudice නැතුව, ඒ කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ව judge කරන්න නැතුව අපිට අවශ්‍ය දේ අරගෙන මේ project එක move කරන්න. project move කරන්නේ effective communicators. ඒම නිසා හොඳ communication skills තියෙන කට්ටිය company එකට හරි වැදගත්. මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ හරහා තමයි වැඩ ටික ටක් ගාලා වෙන්නේ. right? This is the first one that I've identified. Second one, dependability. Dependability is a measure of trust. company එකට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ මනුස්සයව විශ්වාස කරන්න. එයා මත යැපෙන්න. dependability කියන්නේ යැපීම, right? So dependability is basically about timely delivery of tasks, punctuality, being present at all times, right? You phone එක off කරලා දාලා පැත්තකට ලා ඉන්න මිනිස්සෙක් dependable නැහැ. මම දකිනවා ගොඩාක් young graduates ලාගේ, ගොඩක් undergraduates ලාගේ පවා යන්නේ ලක්ෂණය. හැබැයි ඒ මිනිස්සු යන්නේ එක්තරා දුරකට. ඒකින්ද හැම වෙලේම උත්සාහ කරන්න to be dependable. That's so that the other person can trust you. අනිත් කෙනාට තමන්ව විශ්වාස කරලා වැඩක් බාර දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. So dependability is something that companies look for in a graduate. Even in the interviews, we look for dependability, and opportunities come up. Opportunities open up to people who are dependable because company knows that you will carry it out, right? So dependability is a soft skill that you can transfer from one industry to another, because when you're a dependable person at home, you're dependable at work, wherever you work, right? It is. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Next one that I've identified is teamwork. Teamwork is about being able to be coached. තව කෙනෙක්ට ඔයාට යමක් කියලා කරව ගන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ. සහ ඔයාට විවිධ මිනිස්සු ඉන්න කණ්ඩායමක් ඇතුලේ තමන්ගේ රෝල් එක හරියට කරන්න පුළුවන් වීම තමයි teamwork කියන්නේ. එතකොට අනික් කෙනා කළාද නැද්ද? අනික් කෙනා තමන්ට ඉස්සෙල්ලා කළාද පස්සේද කරන්නේ කරේ නැද්ද? යන එක තමන්ගේ වැඩේට බාධාවක් නොකරගෙන ඒක කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවනේ අනිත් කෙනෙකුගේ උදව් අරගෙන. right? ඔගොල්ලෝ යම් කිසි දේවල් කරලා තියෙනකොට when you face an interview, make sure that you highlight examples of your teamwork where other people could teach you, because when you're a young graduate and going to a team, you might not get the opportunity to lead the team initially. You need to follow somebody who is going to lead that team. එතකොට company එකට තියෙන පුළුවන් ඕනේ විශ්වාසය මේ මනුස්සයව මේ team එකට දැම්මොත් එයා ඒ team එකේ හරය උකහාගෙන ඒ අවශ්‍ය කාරණාව නිසි පරිදි ඉෂ්ට කරයි කියලා. right? Next one that I've identified the skill is organization. Organization is about having a strong structure to your work, being neat. Your workspace need to be organized, need to be structured. Your work relationships can't be confusing. They have to be structured in an unconfusing way, in a straightforward fashion. And the tasks that are allocated to you, they need to be organized. Task එකක් මුල මැද අග කොහෙද කියලා හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා වැඩක් කරද්දි. right? මේක තමයි organization කියලා මම මෙතන අදහස් කරන්නේ. එතකොට efficiency comes out of organization. Efficient තැනක දෙතුන් පාරක් කරන්න ඕනේ. You avoid repetition, right? When you're organized, then you know where to plug in, where the bottlenecks are when you organize. Then you can solve those problems easily. So organization, when you're organized, it is very visible. Companies like people who are organized, and opportunities open up for people who are organized. I will go a little faster now. Adaptability. Sanjay, Nalin, I think I'm on time. I think
Yes, we'll try to finish it within now 5 to 7 minutes.
Sure. All right, got it. So adaptability is about flexibility. How you can adapt to new situations. New situations at work, right? There could be migrations of a system. There could be a new technology that your company is working on. How soon, how easily can you adapt to the new system? Can you learn the new set of skills that is required? Can you adapt to the new processes that you need to do? Are you able to read an SOP or a TOR and follow it? I hope you know what an SOP or a TOR are. If you don't, we can have another other lecture on those too. Okay. It's about various circumstances that come up at work. Trust me, this comes up all the time. Being able to adapt means you're ahead of the game. The company recognizes you as a change agent. I think you've heard the change term. At GE, we identify change agents. So when you do a migration, change agents are coached and they take the message out. This is the way that Lean and Six Sigma work at GE. Those things are not very heavy, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. If you don't, you can raise a question, or else you can reach me separately as well. Next one I identified is leadership. Now we spoke about teamwork earlier. How is leadership different from teamwork? Leadership is about ensuring teamwork in the team. Leadership is about taking a group of different individuals with different set of skills and achieve a common shared objective, common shared goal using that team. So leaders naturally get the best out of their team members. When you have an effective leader leading a team, typically team members go above and beyond. They deliver beyond their normal capacity. They reach out into pockets that are normally not tapped. They go above and beyond, as I said above, and then they deliver for this team leader, and the team starts performing and punching above their weight. Right? Decision making is a skill that we specifically look for in young employees to identify future corporate leaders. A decision maker does not come to his line manager always to make a decision. Decision maker analyzes a situation. You have very strong analytical skills, and then you come up with a solution, and then you implement it. This is what we mean by making a decision, and then you back this decision. Companies look for decision makers and back them. You can go wrong, but we will back you because you took the trouble to make that decision. You did your analysis. If you follow the process, of course. If you deviate the process, we'll try to correct you. But most of the time, the decision makers don't get it right first time. Some people get it wrong completely. But good companies appreciate decision makers because those are the ones who make changes to the company structures eventually, and the company evolves through decision making across the board. Right? Empathy. Empathy. What do you mean by empathy? You heard this empathy, EQ, emotional intelligence. What do you really mean? This means being able to put yourself in the shoes of another person, being able to look at the problem from that person's perspective. When you can empathize with somebody, you understand that person. Then you try to make it easy for both of you to achieve the common objective. Empathy is a key component of a team player. You cannot afford to be seen as not a team player in a broad organization, because there will be so many people to select from when it comes to promotions. And if you are not a team player, if you lack empathy, unfortunately, you might be sidelined, not because you lack the skills to do that task, but because you lack the skills to effectively work with other people to perform to achieve the overall objective. Now, next one, initiative is not even considered to be a skill in most cases, but I identify initiative as a very, very important skill for an engineer. Why? Because self-motivation is rare in the corporate world. To take an initiative. Initiative එක කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Initiative එක කියන්නේ අපි විසින් සෝත්සාහයෙන් යමක් ආරම්භ කිරීම. අපි දකිනවා මොකක් හරි තැනක වෙනසක් කළ යුතුයි, යම්කිසි වැරද්දක් තියෙනවා. ඒකට අදාළ සොලියුෂන් එක අපිම තමයි ගන්නෙ. self motivated. අපිම තමයි ස්වයං උත්තේජනයෙන් තමයි මේ කාරණාව කරන්නේ. එහෙම කට්ටිය corporate world එකේ හරිම අඩුයි. ඇත්තටම ඒක අඩු නිසා තමයි මම කියන්නේ. ඉනිෂියටිව් එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන් කට්ටියට lots of opportunities come up. In taking initiative is a recipe for rapid advancement of your career. You can go up the ladder very fast. You can skip rungs and go up when you take initiative. I'll just give you an example from my career also. I think, Nalin, that will make this little bit more interesting as well. So when I was a young engineer at GE, I started at radiology. GE is, of course, mostly on radiology. So young engineers who come into radiology are put in X-ray.
Have we lost Randika? Sanjay, do you have any connectivity issue?
No, I think he's reached some, maybe sometimes he has some connection issue, but still not lost. He's there.
Okay. Randika, we cannot hear you properly. Sanjay, shall we switch off his video? Can you do it from your end?
He lost, I think.
All right, okay. Maybe a technical issue, and I learned the fact that few areas in Colombo we are trading. We got Randika back. Randika, you can switch off your video and you can continue. I think yes, you can switch off your video and you can continue if you wish. I think kind of a safe mode.
Yeah, sure. Something is wrong with the networks today. I had this problem earlier also. I'm actually having on Mobitel and Dialog both, but something is not right. I'll keep switching. So I was telling about an experience where I learned CT on my own, and then Jaffna CT went down in the middle of the war. And the CT engineer was not allowed to go because he had a near-death experience earlier. So then I took the initiative to go there. Before I went there, the Health Minister, Nimal Siripala Silva, spoke to me and said, "This is a very important job." I said, "I will do my best." I went there. Within about 3 days, I could resurrect it. This was so critical back in 2008. So many people with shrapnel wounds were coming, and the CT was working round the clock that I got a lot of accolades. He actually came without invitation to my wedding as well, because this happened. This happened in 2006, latter part. In 2008, he became the WHO president. And then Sri Lanka started getting a lot of funding from Europe. A project came up. This gentleman, the minister, has asked the biomedical engineering division to contact me to ask if I was interested to take up the position of project manager. I said yes, of course. And then I went to Austria. They put me to the University of Austria to take a 3-month rapid course. And my career accelerated because I took that initiative. I was able to manage CTs without actually being taught CT. That is something that I am very happily reminiscing even now. So initiative actually can give you an opportunity to accelerate your career, right? And shape your career in different pathways and elevate it and open up different opportunities outside your immediate career as well. Technical literacy is my last point. What does tech literacy mean? This is something that we associate with engineers, but is everyone actually tech literate? Are you able to learn a new technology, a new software easily? This is a comparative skill. When you're compared with other engineers, where do you stand? Right? This is a quantifiable skill within a team. To be able to call yourself tech literate, you need to have tried out a lot of technologies. You have to try out a lot of new things, new ways of doing things. This is something that we use in our change agents as well, especially when you're doing system changes. So I will just move on from here and see where you can use these transferable skills. first thing that you need to do is identify that you have these skills, because these are not hard skills. Therefore, you might not recognize them as separate skills. I am actually in the process of doing a small manual for transferable skills for our young engineers. I will share it as well later on. When you recognize these skills, you can actually put them in your CV. List them under skills in the resume. You can even start a separate section and you can edit your resume summary or the description of yourself. Maybe you can describe yourself a little bit as a problem solver, loves taking initiative, things like that. And of course, in previous employment where you led a team to successfully implement something, you can highlight those things and mention relevant, strong, transferable skills in your cover letter. Cover letter is something that you can play with from job to job when you apply. So apply that in your cover letter, even in your CV, but cover letter might be more specific to that particular organization that you're applying for. And when you're interviewed, make sure that you go with stories. Mention these when you're interviewed. Develop a dialogue with the interviewee, and who knows, you might get picked out of a strong group. This is what I have prepared for you today. With time running out, I will wind up. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Randhika. Thank you very much. And yeah, I think we have an opening from your presentation as well, because we just touched the how we have to put those things into our resume in a CV. So I think next presentation is at the very best time. So please be with us, Randhika, for a while of maybe 30-40 minutes. So once you're done with all the 3 presentations, we'll go for a common collective panel discussion. Thanks, Randhika. Thank you very much. And without wasting much of your time, let's move to our next presenter. Maitri, I think you're ready right now. Sanjay, do we have Maitri here, or have we lost her? Maitri Attanayaka. She was here. I think again, maybe the same issue with even I experienced the
Sorry,
same.
Nalin, no,
Yeah.
I was disabled. Now I can present, I guess. Right? Can I present
Okay,
from
you
my
are
computer?
Yeah, give me 1 minute just to make a small intro of yours. And yeah, Maitri, as I mentioned, all 3 of the resource personnel are from the same batch of 2001 from University of Peradeniya Faculty of Engineering, and she got her MBA from University of Colombo and her master's in business psychology from Metropolitan University of London. And she has worked a number of multinational companies and even local blue chip companies. And currently she works for Hemas as a supply chain manager and a specialist, I can say. At the same time, she is one of an entrepreneur of her own as well. So ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much of the time, please welcome on screen Engineer Maitri Attanayaka. Maitri, you can go ahead.
Right. Thank you, Nalin, for that wonderful introduction. And welcome all ladies and gentlemen. I'll go straight into the presentation. I understand that we are talking about the industry readiness and how we can prep our graduates to be more ready to start on their first job. And one compelling part of that is the CV. CV, those days, I think when we were on the job hunt, it was not that much of a crucial factor. But now with the technology coming in, you know, all the editing software, AI, and everything that is pitching in, it plays a vital role in terms of portraying who you are really, right? And like Randhika also mentioned, organizations get tons and tons of resumes, and how do we stand out in how does our resume stand out? It's a little bit of industry perspective. on what we look at specifically for a fresh graduate. What we look at it in a CV in a fresh graduate. But with an experienced person, this can be different. So, a good CV has to stand out. It has to be memorable, and it has to get you hired, right? So what is a good CV? We'll just go through what a CV has to comprise for a passing out fresh graduate, right? You have to have your contact information in a very easily attainable place, right? The person who's holding your CV, it can be your prospective immediate supervisor or a HR personnel. So we should not be struggling to find your contact information, right? It should be right at in the phase of the CV, because that's where they start to find a number and start calling. And it is good to have a personal objective statement also that portrays actually who you are, your education, your projects, courses, relevant courses, right? And work experience if you have any, and skills and certifications. Let us see how we can rearrange them in a manner that it is standing out and it is memorable and it is finally getting you hired, right? You know what your personal details are, your full name, the phone number, email address, your LinkedIn profile, right? And it has to be very current and professional. What does professional mean? Your email address has to be professional. That is what it means. LinkedIn also, your profile has to be updated and it should look professional. And a brief statement highlighting your career goals and what you can bring to the table, right? And the last point, your CVs have to be tailor-made to the specific job or the industry that you are applying, right? Why I'm highlighting this is it's almost like well-known factor, but a lot of the organizations are now using AI to screen CVs. So if your CV is very generic and doesn't apply for that industry, the AI will reject it, not the person. So that's why you need to tailor-made it to a certain extent. Then how do you list your education qualifications? You have to list them out in reverse chronological order, your degree, university graduation date, and your relevant honors achievements in the academic career, right? And again, your project's coursework has to be directly relevant to the job that you are applying. It is good if you can do it like that, right? Showcase any hands-on experience that you have, both technical and non-technical, because a lot of you, we know that you do a lot of other work also. You're volunteering in certain organizations, you are organizing things, you're working with Nalin on this project. So list them out, because as fresh graduates, you have very few and you can fit in to one page, all these things. Your work experience, your training experience and all, don't write tons and tons of stuff, right? Emphasize on your internships, your co-opted positions, voluntary work, things like that. You should master how to write these things in 1 or 2 sentences. Now, luckily, you don't have to master it yourself, right? A lot of AI tools are there, widely used AI tools, Bard and ChatGPT. Write your sentence, whatever that you want to say, and ask it to rewrite in exact number of words. Then it'll give you a nice statement. So put that in your CV. Right? Then how do we do our skills and certifications? Right? Certifications are important nowadays, right? Because a lot of us can claim that we have this and that, this skill and that skill and all that. But current day and age, a statement is not valid. we have to back it up with some form of education, some form of certification. So if you say that you have a skill of handling content writing or anything like that, back it up with either experience or certifications. If you have worked with someone on these areas, ask them to write a recommendation on your LinkedIn profile. So it's credible, because this day and age, we get a lot of information, a lot of profiles, a lot of CVs claiming that everything under the sun is available in their CVs, but the reality is it's not. So it is important to highlight what we really can do and back it up with a certain amount of foundation. Right? How do we go on about formatting? Minimum 1 to 2 pages, right? If you can do it in 1 page, excellent. Clean, professional layout, bullet points, very easily identifiable paragraphs, right? And tailor your CV to each application. Proofread. Proofread is very important. You can't proofread with a friend, colleague, or a known person. Get AI to do it. Very, very important to proofread. Don't let a CV go out on your watch with errors and inconsistencies, right? You can add a professional looking photo. This is not very much essential. If you don't feel comfortable about it, don't do it. Your other extracurricular activities, voluntary work, list them out. And use action verbs to describe your experience. I have done these to write them in action format, so they are more authentic, right? So that is about this presentation. I think I will now show you some samples, right? These are samples that I got from Canva, right? So this is a 1-page CV where you have listed out your qualifications. See how the spacing is, how different areas are spaced out. And look at the color combination that has been used. Very monochrome sort of color combination, a professional looking photo, where it is the fonts are being used in uppercase, lowercase, highlighted, bold, things like that. So this is another format of 1-page CV, where you can describe your work experience more accurately. You can use small fonts. People can zoom out and read these days. Or it is also a good idea to use not Word for the CV. You know, with Word, the formatting is not so good. So Canva has free editions. A lot of other similar softwares also have free editions. Get into a software like that and do this for yourself. And I think it is important to do your CV by yourself at this stage, right? Maybe in a couple of years' time, you can, when you can afford, you can give it to a professional CV, right, and get it written, right? Here you can see how the skills are being highlighted, right? This is what I told you earlier, where people claim a lot of skills, whereas in real life, it's not there. So I think it is important to be authentic. Write down the skills. If you are putting a section like this, list them. List the stuff that you have, and this stage when you are just passing out, you mostly have technical skills, not a lot of soft skills to stand about, right? This is a one without a photo, so you can do it in similar format also. what I would do is I would send all these things in the group, or I'll give it to Nalin so that you have the access to these formats. Right, these are 2-page, 3-page CVs. See, you have to get into a 2-page, 3-page CV, you have to write a lot of work experience, which you don't have at the moment. If you start writing about your internship, heaps and heaps of paragraphs, it's not gonna go well because there is not a lot of content, not a lot of quality content. So rather, you have your CV in a monochrome, the formatting, all the formatting that we have spoken about, and get it out there, right? So here, you see, this is a 3-page CV and no color variations, right? So here, a person who's taking a CV out like this is essentially interested in the work experience, because this is an experienced person. You're looking for a more matured sort of a role, middle management sort of a role, right? So I think I can stop with that, Nalin. If you have any questions, we can go to that.
Yes, thanks, Maitri. And now, if you can wait for another 30 minutes, we'll finish Indika's presentation and we'll have a collective panel discussion if the audience have some issues or clarification. So even I have few. I will come up with maybe after 20 minutes of Indika's presentation. Thank you, Maitri. Thanks for your preparation, content, and all the deliveries. And now we are going to move to our final resource person today. It's a slightly different presentation, I can say. Apart from this all technical and the contents we had so far will be slightly different from this presenter, the resource person, and he himself is a different person. I could remember when we were in the university, he showed his differences, and also now he has performed in many of the platforms. So if I am to read a little bit of himself, he's a co-founder and the director of the Logimek Lanka Private Limited and Logimek Engineering Private Limited. And he's a mechanical engineer by profession, about 13 years plus experience in Sri Lanka. At the same time, he has worked in Australia as well for a few years in Australian construction and logistic industries. Apart from all these technical professional achievements, I would like to highlight a few areas of himself, because that's how he stand out from the rest of the engineers. Apart from engineering, he's a co-founder of Sindhu Entertainment in music industry. If you go through Indika Jayasuriya's YouTube channel, you can see he's a completely different person, and you might wonder, is he an engineer? That may be your question at the first prompt. He's a producer, singer, and guitarist, and he's an open water scuba diver for 15 sessions and a traveler at least 25 countries, as he mentioned here. And he's a former member of IESL Toastmasters Club as well. Ladies and gentlemen, without wasting much of time, let's listen to this interesting person about one of the key areas. Especially, you might not find it very important at the very early stage of the career, but when you go on with the career, you might find this is very important, how to balance your life work and how to passionate your career as well. Indika, the screen is yours.
Right, thank you, Nalin. I think I'm audible enough for you guys.
Perfectly okay. Yes.
Right, okay. Now, when we talk about the thought process of an engineer, when you are like passing out from the university, usually you have really a dream life. So you have also a lot of expectations from your first job and up until you go to retirement or whatsoever the like final stage of your life. So I just want to talk about some of the major mistakes that a person can make in their early stage of professional life. Because of those mistakes, he or she may lose the most important opportunity of their life. What happened, like when you start your very first job, we all, when we all passing out from the university and we hunt the job, and we most likely we will be getting a job depending on how strong you face your first interview. So I want to get the opening from that point onwards. Usually you promise something at your job, but when you start it, you realize you start facing different challenges, and then also you feel some disappointments. So you should start listening all these your emotions, and you should also think about, am I doing the right thing, or whether am I accepting the challenge properly? Because if you are not preparing enough, it doesn't matter whether you are passing out with a class, what sort of a class or something, but at the job, it's something new. It's really new for you. While you are applying your management skill, you are doing something very new. And my humble request at the very stage, you should do your all hard working to deliver the results of your job. That is my very first point I want to highlight to you guys. I could remember when I start my very first job, they usually start my time like all the others, but my finishing time is little late because I'm not a really quickly finishing person. I found myself as a little bit slow, but steady. And I'll tell you the importance of that later. You can spend a little more time or something and you can do the perfect job. The reason why, you will realize it in one day. Because you are not planning to do the job, the very first job, unless you are very specially doing it throughout your career. There's a high chance you want to switch from one job to another job. So we are not talking about the initial stage, how to enter, things like that from my part. I'm just trying to project you up until the retirement part, because we are just trying to time travel in this beautiful journey, in this beautiful life. So I'm not talking about as an engineer or somebody like that, but I want to talk about as a human being, how to find your happiness in your life throughout your passion. The key thing is you should do your job at your best. That's the key thing. And be genuine to that one. Honesty is the most important thing that we expect from our employees. So if we feel the guy is not honest enough, then we feel he's not delivering his job as well. You can make little mistakes, something like that. You can come back. But as far as you are honest, you have the chance to go to the next level. That's the key thing. And when you are doing your job, you might meet different people in your life. But usually as humans, we usually have our own living frame, I would say. Again, අපි වටේ ඉන්න යාළු ටිකක්, ඒ වගේම අපි ජීවත් වෙන්න කැමති පිරිසක් එක්ක අපි ඉන්නවා. ඒක අපි දැන් යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ ගත්තොත් අපිට මට පොඩි නම් ස්කෙච් එකක් යන්දා මේක පුළුවන් නම් පේනවා නම් බලන්න හිතනවා පේනවා කියලා මට ටිකෙන් try කරලා මට පේන ප්‍රමාණය මේක පේනවද?
Not yeah. Now we can see kind of
ඒක පේනවද? මම කොතනද zoom එක ගන්නේ?
Not much Indigo.
Sorry,
I saw a circle. Yeah, I saw a circle just like
තියාගෙන පොඩ focus එක හරි ගියොත් හරි මම හිතන්නේ.
Sanjay, we have any technical way of doing so?
මේක පෙන්න ගන්න පුළුවන්ද මට? But doesn't matter.
Sanjay,
idea එක ඕනෙලා තිබ්බේ අත්‍තරම මේ කියන්න ඒ කියන්නේ සාමාන්‍ය
Indigo, sorry to disturb. If you can just take a photograph and send me through
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
I will send it straight away.
Then you can share it to the chat box also.
Yeah. Just drop me through WhatsApp. I'll manage.
Okay. right අනලිත් මයික දැම්ම
Thanks.
මේක මම මේ presentation එකේ පටන් ගත්ත වෙලාවේ මට ආපු පොඩි idea එකක් මේ අපි normally when we are doing our job or whatever the thing අපිට ටිකක් පොඩ්ඩක් නිකන් දැනෙනවා අපි නිකන් happy නෑ වගේ පොඩි ගතියක් ටික කාලයක් යනකොට තේරෙනවා මේක සාමාන්‍ය දෙයක් මම හිතන්නේ even Sanjay also accept right Nalin and everybody Randika and Might might accept it අපි පොඩ ටික කාලයක් යනකොට we feel that we are not little bit happy about our job එකක් අපිට හිතෙනවා මේක switch කරන්න ඕන ඔය වගේ කියලා පොඩි පොඩි දේවල් හිතෙනවා ඒකට ප්‍රධාන හේතුව තමයි අපි මේ වැඩ කරන ඒ තියෙන work place එකේ අපි report කරන පුද්ගලයා හරිම වැදගත් අපේ life එකේ future එක decide කරන්න. ඒ හින්දා මේ අර පොඩි කතාවක් තියෙනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ කම්පැනියක් නිමිවා කම්පැනි නමක් නිමිවට වැදගත් වෙන්නේ ඔයාගේ life එක define වෙනවා සෑහෙන දුරකට ඔයා වැඩ කරන immediate boss කවුද කියන එක. ඔයා වැඩ කරන manager කවුරු හරි superior ඉන්නෝනේ. එයාගේ තියෙන vision එක ඔයාට transfer වෙනවා දන්නේම නැතුව. If you spend about 5 years with that immediate boss, you are more likely to be associated with him and you will get whatever the influences of his life. එහින්දා හැමතිස්සෙම හොඳ boss කෙනෙක් හම්බුනොත් මේ අතාරින්න යන්න එපා. මොකද you will definitely have a very good future. ඒක තේරෙනවද අපි වැඩ කරපු මැනේජර්ස්ලා එක්කත් එහෙම තේරෙනවා ඒ වගේම අපිත් එක්කත් වැඩ කරනවා දැන් even in my organization we have engineers from all universities project managers and other supervisors people like that so then they also like I can see they also transferring like similar to some of my thoughts or something like that which is very good ඒක තමයි වෙන්න ඕන දැන් අපි professional life එකක් යනකොට අපිට ඉස්සලාම we have to find our the man inside me ඒ කියන්නේ අපිව අඳුර ගන්න ඕන අපිව හොයා ගන්න ඕන ඒක තමයි මේ life එකේ තියෙන මේ journey එකේ තියෙන secret එක අපි ඒක discover කර ගන්න ඕන කවුද අපේ තියෙන අපේ ඇතුලේ ඉන්න මේ හැංගිලා ඉන්න මේ මිනිස්සයා මේක මොකද්ද මේක කොහොමද අපි එළියට ගන්න කියලා ඒක මේ professional life එකකින් frame කරගන්න එක සෑහෙන මේ අසාධාරණ වෙන්න පුළුවන් එක්තරා තැනකදී ඒක early stage එකේදී හැබැයි තමන්ව project කරන society එකට හොඳ weapon එකක්. degree එක කියන්නේ හොඳ weapon එකක් society එකට project කරන්න හොඳ edge එකක් තියෙනවා against other candidates or whoever the people. Right? But ඒක ගොඩ ටික කාලයක් යනකොට අපිට ඒකේ පොඩි monotonous ගතියක් එනවා. ඒකට හේතුව අපි තියෙන within අපේ life එක ඇතුළේ ඉන්න අනිත් talents තියෙන මිනිස්සු අපි හොයාගන්න නැති එක. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට කැමති වෙන්න පුළුවන් music industry එකට උදාහරණයක් දෙන්න මම කියනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් content creator කෙනෙක් විදියට. මේක තමයි මම ඉස්සලා යපු මේ පෙන්නන හදපු image එක. මේක මම පෙන්නන මේ number 1 කියන point එකේදී තමයි අපි මේ university එකේ ඉන්න time එක. Right? ඊට පස්සේ ඔය number 2 කියන්නේ pass out වෙලා ටික කාලයක් job එක කරලා ඔහොම යන කාලය. number 3 number 4 කියලා මම හිතලා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මම number 4 කියන එක කියන්නම් නිකන් age එක 40ක් වගේ කාලෙදී කියලා හිතමු අපි ටිකක් කාලයක්. දැන් මේ lines වල යන්නේ ඔයාලා හිටපු matesලා batchmatesලා right when you are going through further and further ඔගොල්ලෝ අනිත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ batchmatesලාත් එක්ක තියෙන මේ ගැළපීම් අදහස් වලින් so අය වගේ දේවල් වලින් ගැළපෙන ප්‍රමාණය ඔයාලට පේනවා මේ gap එක වැඩි වෙනවා කියලා right ඒක තමයි real life එක right Nari thank you so much අපිට ඒක අයින් කරන්න පුළුවන් ඉතින් ඒක තමයි මේ life එකේ තියෙන reality එක අපිට හරිම අඩු ප්‍රමාණයක් තමයි associate වෙලා ඉන්නේ. මෙන්න මේ associate වෙලා ඉන්න මිනිස්සු කොට්ටාසය තමන්ගේ vision එකට match වෙන විදියට. හොඳ positive ideas තියෙන කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. සමහරලාට university එක වගේ හිටපු හොඳම mate ඔයාලට තේරෙනවා ටික කාලයක් යනකොට ඔයාත් එක්ක මේ හරියටම දැන් පොඩ්ඩක් නිකන් set වෙන්නේ නැහැ වගේ පොඩි feel එකක් එනවා. But I'm trying to talk to you is that when you go further along the time, you realize that not the same bunch of people going with you in forward, right? So we have been talking a lot about this kind of topics with Nalin in many you know different WhatsApp groups. I think ඒක තමයි reality එක. එතකොට අපිව හොයා ගන්න ඕන අපේ තියෙන talent එක මොකක්ද කියන එක. දැන් engineering කියන එක අපි පැත්තකට තියමු පොඩ්ඩක්. Right? එහෙම තිබ්බම ඔයාට මේ whole world එකේ තියෙනවා තව ගොඩක් field තියෙනවා. ගොඩක් දේවල් තියෙනවා. මේක ගොඩක් හැපනින් තියෙන ගොඩක් දේවල් ටෙක්නොලොජි එක ඩිෆරන්ට් විදිහට ඇප්ලයි කරන හැමදේම හරිම වෙනස් වර්ල්ඩ් එකක් මේ තියෙන මොඩර්න් සොසයිටි එක ඇතුලේ. ඒක ඇතුලේ අපිට එන්ජොයි කරන්න පුළුවන් අපි කැමති. සමහරවිට ඔයා පේන්ටර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ගිටාරිස්ට් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔයාගේ ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා ෆිල්ම් ප්‍රොඩියුස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඩිරෙක්ට් කරන්න පුළුවන් ටැලන්ට් එකක්. ඇක්ටර් කෙනෙක් ඉන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ ඇතුලේ. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ ඒ කවුද කියලා. ඉතින් ඒවා ඔයා එළියට ගන්න ඕන. ඒකට අපිට කරන්න ඕන දැන් පොඩි ටැලන්ට් එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ටැලන්ට් එක ඉස්සලාම පොඩි ගෲප් එකක් ඇතුලේ තමයි ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරලා පොඩි ටෙස්ටිං එකක් දාන්න පුළුවන්. එක්සැම්පල් එකක් විදිහට මම අවුරුදු 10ක් විතර 10කට වැඩි ගිටාර් ප්ලේ කරනවා. එතකොට මගේ පළවෙනිම මේ බේස් එක තමයි මගේ යාළුවා නලින්ලා අපි ඉන්නව සංජල රම්දිකල. ඉතින් ඔය ඉන්න අපේ යාළුවෝ කට්ටිය තමයි මගේ තියෙන පළවෙනි ටෙස්ටිං පොයින්ට් එක. ඇත්තටම ඒක ඉතින් අපි ඒක තමයි අපිට ගන්න පුළුවන් ඇඩ්වාන්ටේජ් එක. ඒගොල්ලෝගේ ෆීඩ්බැක් එක බලලා ඊට පස්සේ එතනින් එහාට ඊළඟ ස්ටෙප් එකට යන්න ඒවා. ඊට පස්සේ අපි දන්නවා රයිට්. ඕකේ I am there. දැන් ඊට පස්සේ ඒක පර්සියු කරනවා. ඒක තමයි අපේ ප්‍රොජෙක්ෂන් එක පටන් ගන්න පොයින්ට් එක. තමන්ගේ වටේ ඉන්න යාළුවෝ, තමන්ට එක්ක ඇසෝසියේට් ඉන්න ෆැමිලි එක කට්ටියත් එක්ක අපි ඉස්සෙල්ලා පොඩ ටෙස්ට් කරනවා. ඒකට ඔයා රිහර්ස් කරලා සෑහෙන මාන්සිල හෝම්වර්ක් කරලා ඉන්න ඕන. Sometimes you might play only one song after playing, after rehearsing for maybe a couple of years. So you'll get the chance to play only one song. But that's enough. මං කියන්නේ ඒ වගේ හැමතිස්සෙම තමන් හොයාගන්න මිනිස්සුව පොඩ ඩෙවලොප් කරන් එන්න ඕන. හැබැයි early stage එකේදී ඔයාගේ passion එක you can't project to the society very fast. ඒක ඇත්තටම මේ ගොඩක් මේ time taking වැඩක් හරියට වැඩි කරනවා නම්. ඒකට එකපාරට කරන්න බෑ. මොකද ඔයාගේ තියෙන financial strength එක ඊට පස්සේ ගත්තම family ඒ හැම තියෙන bonds මේ හැමදේම බලපානවා. අපිට you can't project one of your passion to the society and ask for money or something at instant. It won't happen. එහෙම වුණත් ඒක one night આવොත් then you in the couple of weeks time you will go on. හැබැයි what we are aiming is to develop other strengths. ඒක වගේ career එකේ දැන් යන path එක පටන් ගත්ත path එක හරියට කරන ගාම extra time එකක් දාන්න ඕන. ඒකට extra sacrifice එකක් කරන්න ඕන. extra sacrifice කරන්න නැතුව ඔයාට extra දෙයක් ගන්න බෑ. ඒක තමයි thumb rule එක. ඉතින් දැන් මේ විදිහට හදාගත්ත මොඩල් එකකදී අපි පොඩ හොයාගෙන යනකොට අපිට family එකේ support එක ඒ හැමදේම ඕන වෙනවා. ඉතින් ගොඩක් කලාවට මේ ඔයාගාව තියෙන wealth එක ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් අපිට මට මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක් මගේ family එක run කරන්න I have this much of money. මගේ monthly expenditure එක මෙච්චරයි. ඒතකොට මේ expenditure එකත් එක්ක මම කොහොමද මේ වගේ දේවල් එක්ක balance කරගෙන යන්නේ? ඒකට ගොඩක් patience වෙන්න ඕන. අපි දැන් life එකෙන් pass out වෙච්ච ගාම සමහරලාට දැන් අපේ පළවෙනිම goals මොනවද තියෙන්නේ? ඒක අපි ඉස්සලාම wedding එකක් අරගෙන අපි marry කරන එක තමයි පළවෙනියටම අපි within couple of years time වල අපි target එක නේ. හැබැයි අපි පොඩි mistake කරනවා සමහරලාට. සමහර කට්ටියට මේක කරන්න පුළුවන් හොඳ grand level එකේ. මම කියන්නේ හැමෝටම මේක කරන්න එපා කියලා. හැබැයි first identify yourself and your capacity. සමහරලාට ඒ දේ ඔයා partnerත් එක්ක discuss කරලා ඔයා plan කරොත් එක දවසක් අතුලත කරලා ඒ event එක ලස්සනට පොඩියට charm විදියට ගත්තොත් ඔයාගේ හොඳම යාළුවන්ට කියලා ඔයා මේ වැඩේ හරියට කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ ගැන කාටවත් question එකක් බෑ කියන්න. right? හැබැයි එහෙම save කරගත්ත money සමහරලාට ඔයා ගාව ඉතුරු වෙන්න පුළුවන් couple of millions ඔයාට save කරගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ඔයාට invest කරගන්න පුළුවන් ඔයාගේ future තව asset එකකට. උදාහරණයක් විදිහට කිව්වොත් එම මේ දේවල් මේ අපි කරපු දේවල් මෙච්චර මේ කතා කරන්නේ මේ අලුතින් අපිටත් කරන්න පුළුවන් කියලා එහෙම දේවල් නෙමෙයි. මේවා අපිට experience තියෙන හින්දා තමයි අපි ඇත්තටම කියන්නේ. ඉතින් අපේ වෙඩින් එක plan කරා අපි එක දවසකින් කරා අපිට තිබ්බේ වෙලාවේ තිබ්බ හැකියාව සහ ඒවත් එක්ක හැබැයි ඒකත් වෙලාවේදී තිබ්බ සල්ලි ප්‍රමාණයක් අපි ඒක අයින් කරගත්ත right මට ඕන මේ වෙලාවේ කාර්යයක් කරන්න right ඒ වගේ ඊට පස්සේ මම ඒ සල්ලි පාවිච්චි කරලා මාත් පාර්ට්නර්ත් එක්ක ඩිස්කස් කරලා අපි කාර්යයක් ගත්තා ඇත්තටම කියනවා. ඉතින් ඒව තමයි මම කියන්නේ තමන්ගේ money management එක strength එක time management එක කියන එක very important. මේ example වලින් කියන්නේ අපි මේ real life case වලින් කියන්නේ ඒවල තියෙනවා සෑහෙන lessons. ගියක් ගන්න ගියත් ගියක් plan කරන්න ගියත් ඊට පස්සේ ඒ හැම දෙයක්ම ඔයාට decide කරන්න වෙනවා මෙන්න මේක තමයි මගේ capacity එක මේක ඇතුලෙන් කරලා මම future එක මම smoothly දුවන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට pain එකක් නැතුව දුවන්න පුළුවන් විදිහට plan කරගන්නවා මගේ income එකත් එක්ක කියන එක. එතකොට තමයි peaceful mind එක හැදෙන්නේ. නැත්තම් ඔය හැමතිස්සෙම ඔයාලට you can't sleep නේ. එතකොට you will be disappointed. Then you think about tomorrow and how to earn something. It's getting really worst. Again, in the modern context in the society now, you don't have like a lot of privilege. It will be too stressed when you go forward. So then you have to be very careful. Even a single mistake, if you made it, then you will be suffer for a couple of years. So you have, what I'm trying to say is, it's not about how popular your decision. Sometimes unpopular decisions will write your future and your life, right? ඉතින් ඔකට risk එකක් manage කරන විදිහත් පොඩ්ඩක් important. ඒ risk එක ගද්දී උදාහරණයක් විදිහට entrepreneur කෙනෙක් විදිහට transit වෙනවා නම් ඔයාගේ partner ගේ strength එක කොච්චරද කියන එක, family එකේ ඔයාගේ කොච්චර wealth එකක් තියෙනවද කියනට වඩා partner ගේ strength එක කොච්චරද තියෙන කියන එක හරිම important. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දේවල් plan කරගෙන හිතාගෙන යන්න ඕන කලින් අපි මෙන්න මේ කාලෙදී okay, I will start my new venture in 5 years time. ඒක 5 years time වලින් පටන් ගන්න ඔයාගේ partner strong වෙන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැත්නම් at least you have to have a financial backup something. So ඒවා plan කරගෙන ගියොත් මේ life එක හරිම smooth. මොකද ඔයාගේ your tomorrow is very I would say it's a really peaceful. Peaceful mind එක නැති තැන අලුත් දේවල් create කරන්න බෑ. දැන් මේ අපේ normal standards තියෙනවා අපේ life එකේ අපි හිතනවා මගේ අපි සමහරවිට මියුසික් කරනවා කියලා හිතන්නකෝ. අපි සින්දුවක් අහනවා කියලා. මියුසික්. ඒ වගේ අහනකොට අපි කියනවා මේ සින්දුවක් අහම අපේ මයින්ඩ් එක මාර්ගයට රිලැක්ස් වෙනවා කියලා. ඒක ඇත්තටම ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත මම කියන්නේ. අපි මයින්ඩ් එක රිලැක්ස් වුණේ නැත්නම් අපිට සින්දුවක් අහන්න බෑ. අපිට කේන්ති ගිහපු වෙලාවට නෙමෙයි අපි සින්දුව අහන්නේ. හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න. කේන්තිය ගිහිල්ලා ඉවර වෙලා මාවුනෙන් පස්සේ තමයි අපි සින්දුවක් අහන්නේ. හැබැයි අපි හිතනවා අපි කේන්තිය මේ වුණා කියලා. එන මයින්ඩ් එක රිලැක්ස් කරගෙන ඉවර වෙලා තමයි ඒක වැකුම් එක හදලා පීස්ෆුල් කරගත්තෙන් පස්සේ තමයි අපිට අලුත් thoughts එන්නේ. හැම දවසෙම ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එකක් විදියට ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ ඉන්ඩිවිජුවල් ටයිම් එකක් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට තියෙන්න ඕන. ඒ වගේ හොබි එකක් වෙනුවෙන් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක හැමදාම වෙන්න කරන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන් depending on your family or whatever the thing. But you have to have a practice to find something within you. To do that, you have to spend little like half an hour or maybe 1 hour time independently. If you are associated fully with your family or friends every time, you can't find the man within you, the person, the character within you easily. It will be dragging further. That is why some of the great people or personalities in the society, they are not associating with the society always. For example, a great musician in Sri Lanka like Chartattalage, he's not interfering or like doing social media branks, everything not doing always. He spent 6 or 7 months of time separately and create everything, and then he bring the Koeni concert to the audience. Okay, that is where he engaged with the audience. I heard. I think you know about Chartattalage, one of the great musicians in Sri Lanka. I think ඒ වගේ අපිට life එකේ අපි හොයාගන්න independent time අපිට pockets පොඩි time pockets කියනවා ඒවා තියෙන්නත් ඕන. How much time I left, Nalin? I am not sure whether I have already passed it or.
We are almost, and if you can conclude, we can go for the panel discussion.
Right. මම හිතනවා okay. මම හිතනවා මම මේක ඇත්තට common sense වලින් මම ගොඩක් මේක share කරන්න try කරන්නේ. ඒ challenge එකම අපිට අපිව හොයාගත්තේ නැතුනොත් අපිට age එක අපිට 40 45 වගේ යනකොට අපිට ඇත්තටම සෑහෙන regret කරන්න වෙන disappoint වෙන්න තැන් තියෙනවා. මොකද ඒ opportunities හම්බෙන්න තිබ්බේවා අපි කලින් ඒක use කරේ නැති වුණාත් එහෙම අපි ඒකෙන් suffer වෙනවා. අවුරුදු 40න් 45න් පස්සේ වගේ time එකදී ලොකු disappointment එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Right? ඒ හින්දා තමයි in advance අපි මේවා share කරගන්නේ. මොකද මේ තියෙන මේ time frame එක අපි ඔය කියන time frame එක අපි experience කරලා තියෙනවා. අපි ඒවා different විදියට use කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ opportunities අරගත්තන් පස්සේ ඒවෙන් එන තමන්ට එන mental satisfaction එක, happiness එක කියන එක ඒක හරිම වැඩි. Right? ඉතින් ඔය ටික තමයි මට අද දවසේ ඔයගොල්ලොත් එක්ක share කරගන්න පුළුවන්. මම කැමති Randika and Maitri, they have done brilliant presentations about on how to hunt the job and how to behave within organization, something like that. So these things all together, put together, and then we will see how we can go further. Okay.
Thank you.
Ali,
Thank you, Indira. Thank you very much. And Sanjay, can we put Maitri and Randika and even myself to the same spotlight so that we can have Randika and Maitri, can you please switch on your videos, and so we can have a panel discussion. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have anything to raise from your end, you can raise your hand and we will give you the opportunity from on the basis of first in, first serve, or else you can use the chat box to raise any question. Even the WhatsApp groups you are in, you can share your thoughts, any comments, so that we can go ahead with that. All right, there are thanking messages. Thanks a lot, and please don't put any much more thanking messages, because otherwise the chat box will be flooded. And we highly appreciate your gratitude. At the same time, let me start with a small question this goes to both Maitri and Randika. We can find a lot of young engineers who seem to try to move from job to job very fast, or I can say very frequently. So within the first 6 months of service, then if we get an offer, maybe 10% or 15% of a hike, so we'll move from that job to the other, and maybe after another 1 year, another job. So once you have a CV from intermediate experienced person, say 5 years of experienced person, you can see he has worked in maybe again 5 to 6 companies. So how do you find these type of people, and what is your recommendation for a young graduate to stay for a while or shift your job? I'll start from Maitri.
Right, Nalin. I think 6 months is a little bit of a too small time window. I think now the moment of time is much faster than couple of years ago, specifically after COVID and all. We can't expect people to stay for years and years in the same place. I think when we were joining a company, a decent 5 to 6, 7 years was like a good standard, a decent stint. But nowadays, it is not. I would suggest, with a common understanding with my peers, colleagues and all that, around 2 years would be something quite decent. I think Randika also felt you feel.
Randika?
Yeah, Maitri, absolutely spot on. Actually, 2 years is what I have in mind as well. No, you never expect young graduates to retire in the same company that they join first. No? It is fine for you to move on, but it has to work for you as well as it has to work for the organization. If you're moving on because you just get a small pay raise, that might not work for you. It certainly doesn't work for the company because your incentive is just monetary. But in the first, let's say, first 5 to 6 years at least, you have to build a career. You have to pick your first job carefully, along with what your career objectives are. Don't worry if you can't get a job immediately. It will come. It shouldn't be too late also, but it will come. But pick your career, not just a job. And within that career scope, you can shift. But if you want to really completely go out of your scope and start all over again, don't just look at the salary, because it will definitely come. It will come much in a much bigger way than you can even imagine. If you get the right kind of exposure, right kind of development in that career. But make sure that you can boast such features in your CV when you hit 30. When you hit 30, you have to be able to bring something to the table, and that can't be job changes every 6 months.
True. Thanks, Randika and Maitri. And I think the chat box has another question. I think Maitri can answer for that. Is it advisable to have a photograph or not in a CV? So what's your recommendation?
I think I told this in the presentation also. It's completely up to you. If you're not comfortable with it, you should not do it. If you're comfortable with it, if you can, yes, please go ahead. But it should be a professional photograph. It shouldn't have a background of the last leisure trip that you have gone off, something like that. Take a professional photograph. Please go to a studio and take. But if you are uncomfortable with it, it's perfectly all right because you're a graduate. I mean, you're an engineering graduate, and people understand the fact that your work matters. Maybe we are not the most socially fluent people in the room. So either way, it's okay. But your CV has to stand out. It has to be memorable, and it has to do the job.
Thank you, Maitri. And now, from Indika's presentation, I would like to pick one question. I managed to pick one area of having, I'm not saying wealthy partner, but a strong partner to take a decision, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I have read through some the concept called emergency fund. If you have saved something to save for maybe your emergency period. So how you have started your career, and from there onwards you shifted as an entrepreneur. So what sort of
Yeah, Nalin,
yes,
in my
how
case,
yes, please.
yeah, my case, I have worked for almost 5 years. Almost 5 years in a public listed level of a company. At that time, certainly I didn't have any emergency save fund or something, but my full backup was my partner. The reason why, simply because she earned a fairly averagely acceptable income, I would say, for the family. I could take the risk for nearly 1 to 2 years period to pick up the business. It takes time depending on your market. Like if you aim to develop a niche market, something that I forgot to tell everyone, like if you try to open a niche market, it will take little time because you are most likely you will be creating that market in the country or society, but you have to survive until that one. You can have a backup fund or something that you already saved, but you can also start without backup. For sure, it depends on how strongly your willingness to drive through and sacrifice your time and spend your entire soul to develop that concept. That's those people we can call founders, right? That's what we call founders. So it is possible. It is possible. Yeah.
Thanks, Indika, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your encouragement to the young engineers who are mostly to be passed out and maybe just passed out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, you can raise yourself and you can raise hand or you can put into the chat box. ඔයාලට ඕන භාෂාවකින් කතා කරන්න පුළුවන් සිංහල භාෂාවෙන් අපි ඇත්තටම දමිළ භාෂාවෙන් උත්තර දෙන්න අමාරුයි. ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන් සහ ඔබට තියෙන මොන හරි ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා අපි හිතනවා මෙතන මේ එක්ස්පර්ට් පැනල් එකත් එක්ක කතා කළ යුතු දෙයක් කියලා සහ ඔබේ අදහසක් තියෙනවා නම් දක්වන්න. ඔබට රේස් හෑන්ඩ් කරන්න පුළුවන් Zoom එකෙන් එහෙම නැත්නම් chat box එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. As we are close by almost 10 o'clock, let me have another quick question to both Maitri and Randika about CVs, because we have found many of strong CVs, very strong CV. By the book, it's very strong. But when you have a chat with a person, sometimes maybe he or she may not be able to express themselves as per the CV. And how you consider this type of a candidate, but by knowing the fact that, okay, he or she has some potential or a latent talents inside him. So are you taking a risk of hiring him or her and to groom to the next level? What about your opinion, Maitri? Randika, we can again start with Maitri and then just by Randika. This time it's we'll start from Randika.
Maitri, if you're okay only.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, so now this problem we come across, Nalin, at early career stage only, where the people are unable to express what they put in their own CV. Because at mid-career level, you generally go through your references and all that, right? So at early career level, let's say the first job or maybe the second job, you find some strong CVs, well-constructed CVs, and when you see the person face to face, they're quite timid. They are unable to express themselves, and they cannot substantiate what they put in their CV. This is where we actually use our judgment skills. Not to say that we are judgy, but we have to use certain filters to figure out if this person is who they portray in their CV. But if we realize that she has a communications issue where they are unable to express properly, I typically give them a task and see how they approach it. Usually it involves problem solving. And if they are able to relate to that in a way that is satisfactory, we will not prejudice over the CV and communications gap. We have seen a lot in Sri Lanka, especially if you conduct your interview in English, some people are unable to cope, and especially from our government universities, right? Whereas the private university graduate is able to articulate very well. But when it comes to deliverance, usually the person who is unable to express themselves is able to deliver. The problem there is that they don't really have those set of transferable skills that I tried to explain. They have the hard skills. Their soft skills are not honed enough to apply those hard skills. This is a problem. And you cannot blame a company for not hiring you because they cannot trust you to implement those, to utilize those hard skills that you have, because you really need another buffer to make the most of that. I think I will let Maitri continue.
Yeah, thanks, Rangadi. And let me shoot another separate question, which related to this same background to Maitri, because she has an experience with working with a lot of multinational companies. So just having a thought of local companies' perspective or multinational companies' perspective, how you see the difference and how they see Sri Lankans, especially Sri Lankan graduate, and how you find them, maybe to put them into different, because see, don't take me wrong, but I have seen many of these multinational companies being dominated by now a lot of Indian management. So how do you find it to make ourselves or the Sri Lankans to put into those positions, and what sort of the areas being lacked by our people to groom to that next level, I should say, Maitri?
I think one key differentiator is communication, like Randik also mentioned in his skill set matrix that he presented. Because when we have studied overseas in different countries and all, your communication will have to be developed. Whereas if it is a local university like ours, we easily resort to our mother tongue, Tamil or Sinhala. So one skill is that. So we have to do a little bit of working. Like I mentioned earlier also, Naveen, we are engineers, specifically engineering graduates. We have been working with our left brains for a very long time, and our social quadrant is not that strong. So our communication, how we articulate our argument, how we present ourselves, the color combination in the CV and little bit of brushing up, all that is not naturally coming to us. So that's why nowadays you can get AI help. So that is, you have to make these tools work for you. They are not just fancy tools. Make them work for you and get your story across. And in terms of communication, there is a lot of time that you can develop it with, but put some effort. Like Indika said, put effort to it, because that is what you will take you across the board, across careers, across places.
Thank you, Maitri.
I'll quickly add something. Add something to it, Nalin.
Please,
since you touched upon India, because I'm working in my career also. I'm working with a lot of Indians, and I interview a lot of Indians as well for alls. I don't really see a lot of difference in the early career stage. Indian people are even less actually they're very naive in the early career stage, and they are very respectful and all that, which I find really irritating sometimes. But they are all really nice people, just like our young graduates. To differentiate between them only, we use various tools. Therefore, what I can tell our people is that you go prepared to an interview. You don't go to play cricket in a major match without having struck a ball before, right? You have to practice yourself. You have to put yourself in that situation. Envisage what are the questions that will come. Practice, practice, practice. Then you will do better. This is what our people lack. And when we say communication lapse, because they haven't communicated properly before. If you have, then you will know what to say. Then you will know how to answer. You don't have to shoot out answers. Take your time. When somebody asks you a question, take time to ponder. If you take 5 seconds to ponder, then you will come up with a sharper answer. This is what I have seen. And our people are too quick with an answer most of the time. Indian people are even quicker. So it is not about that, but the difference is that you get more, I think, more relevant answers from our Indian people because they are, let's say, unprejudiced. We come with a lot of baggage, we Sri Lankans, and this is why we have so many differentiated between different groups of Sri Lankan youth, urban youth, rural youth, semi-urban youth, from various schools, etc., etc. So we have a lot of layers, and to differentiate between these layers is very, very tough. And ultimately, you get to pick somebody based on the prejudices or the preconceived notions or the unconscious biases that we have in the interviewer's mind. Therefore, you have to tackle that problem. Unconscious bias is something that we always try to, I'm just getting into technicalities here. So before you sit in an interview panel, you go through a training of eliminating unconscious bias, right? But it's still there, it's prevalent. You have to be able to tackle that if you want that job. You have to do it yourself.
True. Thanks, Randhika. And as you have talked about lots of left brain, let me move to right brain person, Indiga. Because people would simply challenge the others that you might not, improve your career just after your academic accolades. So once you're graduated, you will simply focus on your, as you mentioned about your wedding, then the car, the house. ඔය කරදරත් එක්ක කොහොමද career එකක් develop කරගද්දි කියලා හෙව්වොත් එහෙම වාගෙන් මොකද්ද තියෙන simple answer ගාල partner strong, that's obviously we know that you have a strong partner. From that මම කැමති අර point එක ගන්නවා new friends අඳුර ගන්නවා, so whatever that you have with the circle.
ඒක තමයි නලින් ඒක ගොඩක්ම මේ මාර important අපේ life එකේ. මොකද අපි දැන් ඇත්තටම මේ career එකක් develop කරගෙන හරිම අපි මේ දැන් මගේ perspective එකෙන් මේ මට පේන්නේ අපි වෙන ලොකු මේ obsession එකක් ඕක කියලා මම දකින්නේ. අපි දැන් මේ engineering එකත් obsession එකක්. ඕක අපි project කරගෙන යනවා. එතකොට අපිට තේරෙන්නේ අපේ valuable මිනිස්සු අපිට අපේ ළඟට ඇවිල්ලා යනවා අපිට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. Opportunities different directions වලින්. මේ අලුත් මිනිස්සු තමයි හැමතිස්සෙම එලිවේට් කරන්නේ. මම නිකන් එක්සැම්පල් එකක් කියන්න. අපි දැන් හිතනවානේ දැන් කැම්පස් එකෙන් අවුට් වෙලා අවුරුදු 5කින් විතර පස්සේ හරි මොකක් හරි බිස්නස් එකක් හරි පටන් ගන්නවා. when we started අපි හිතනවා right okay මගේ batchmates ලා ඔක්කොම set එකේ ඉන්නවා මේගොල්ලෝ තමයි මට බිස්නස් දෙන්නේ කියලා. මම මේ හරි සිංහලෙන් straight forward කියන්නේ කතාව. right මොකද මගේ experience එකේ. එතකොට දැන් එහෙම හිතලා ගියාන් පස්සේ දැන් අපේ ඒ 5 years වගේ මට්ටමේදී සාමාන්‍යයෙන් අපේ batchmates ලා අපේ අඳුරන network එක ඕකනේ. එතකොට ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන්න පොසිෂන් වලින් කිසියම් මට්ටමකට ගිහිලා තියෙනවා නිකන් සමහරු මැනේජර් ලෙවල් එකට කිට්ටු කරලා වගේ ඔහොම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට දැන් අපි රීච් කරනවා. දැන් අපි පටන් ගන්න බිස්නස් එකක් අපි ගාව ඕන දැන් බිස්නස් කාඩ් print කරලා ඔක්කොම කරලා අපි දැන් රීච් අවුට් කරන්න හදනවා අපේ යාළුවෝ හරහට කරා. හැබැයි ඔයාලට තේරෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ ඔන්න රියල් බැච්මේට්ස් ලා කවුද කියලා මේක පටන් ගත්ත ගමන්. මේක තමයි එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එක. මේක ඇක්සෙප්ට් කරනවා මම හිතන්නේ මගේ බැච්මේට්ස් ලා තුන් දෙනාම when you start your new thing, your new venture, then only you will realize who will be your real mates. එනවා. ඒ හින්දා හැබැයි strangers ලා එහෙම නැහැ. stranger ලා මේක different. දැන් strangers ලා විදිහට මගේ business එක මට දීපු biggestම project එකක් දීපු client කෙනෙක් ගැන මම කතා කරොත් පේරාදෙනියෙන් පාස් අවුට් වුණා 82 කාලෙදී මට මතක විදිහට එයා සෑහනකට ස්ට්‍රේන්ජ් කෙනෙක්. එයා මාව දන්නේ මේ පේරාදෙනි කැම්පස් එකේ කියන මොඩල් එක විතරයි. එහෙම ලොකුවට නෑ. හැබැයි ඒ තියෙන බිස්නස් මීටින් එක ඇතුලේ ඒක ඉන්න කන්සල්ටන්ට්ලා ස්ට්‍රක්චරල් ඉන්ජිනියර්ස්ලා ඔය ඉන්න ආකිටෙක්ට්ලා ඔක්කොම එක තියෙන බිග් මීටින් එක ඇතුලේ අපි ෆයිට් කරන විදිය ස්ට්‍රෝං නම් අන්න එතනදී මෙයාට එනවා මෙයා ඩිසිෂන් මේකර් නම් ඕකේ මට I can see something within this guy right අන්න ඒක තමයි අපි හදා ගන්න ඕන. අපි own talent එක අපි present කරන විදිය as what Randika and Maitri mentioned the way how you present to other people right ඒකත් එක්ක තමයි අපිට ස්ට්‍රේන්ජර්ස්ලා අපේ අලුත් කට්ටිය සපෝට් කරන්න පටන් ගන්න. අපිට මුකුත් නැත්නම් අපිට ස්ට්‍රේන්ජර්ස්ලා අපේ සොසයිටි එකේ අපේ අලුත් කට්ටිය කවුරුත් සපෝට් කරන්නේ නැහැ. But you have to have that willingness to show that your talent and your willingness to undertake the job or willingness to complete the job මේ ඔක්කොම ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් කරගෙන යන්න ඕන. එතකොට තමයි ඔයාව ඇක්සෙප්ට් කරන්නේ අලුත් සොසයිටි එකකින් අලුත් මිනිස්සු. ඒක ගොඩාක් වෙනස් වෙනවා ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක වෙනස් වුණාම. ඉන්ජිනියරින් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එකෙන් අපි එලියට ගිහිල්ලා අපි කතා කරොත් එහෙම දැන් එක්සැම්පල් එකකට මියුසික් ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි එක ගත්තොත් ඒකේ ඊගෝ ස්ට්‍රක්චර්ස් තියෙන වෙනස් විදියට. You can't reach like a really you know ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට එහෙම හරි අමාරු රීච් කරන්න. ඒ වගේ කෙනෙක්ගෙන් අපිට ඇසෝසියේට් වෙලා කොලැබොරේෂන් එකක් කරන්න මේ වගේ වැඩකට හරි අමාරුයි. ඒතර ඒකට සෑහෙන කාලයක් ඔයා ටයිම් එක ස්පෙන්ඩ් කරලා මේ පාත් එක හදා ගන්නවා. ඒතර මේ තියෙන මේක මයින්ඩ් ගේම් එකක් ඇත්තරම. මේක අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕන. අපේ ළඟ ඉන්න ඇසෝසියේට් වෙලා ඉන්න දන්න කියන ගෲප් එක නෙමෙයි ඔයාගේ සක්සස් ස්ටෝරි එකට සපෝට් කරන්නේ. සමහර වෙලාවට ඒගොල්ලෝ නිව්කමර්ස්ලා. සමහරට 1 බිලියන් ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එකක් දෙන්න කවදාකවත් දැකලා නැති කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. සමහරට එයා රෙකමන්ඩ් එක වාගෙන ගන්න තව එක්කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා හැමතිස්සෙම ඕපන් මයින්ඩ් එකක් තියාගන්න ඕන ලයිෆ් එකට අලුත් එක ඉන්ඩස්ට්‍රි වලින් තමන්ගේ ෆීල්ඩ් එකෙන් ඒ තියෙන වෙන කන්ට්‍රීස් දැන් මේක අපි ලංකාවේ හරි අමාරු මේක අයිලන්ඩ් එකන්නේ. නමුත් දැන් වෙන සමහර කන්ට්‍රීස් වල තියෙන මල්ටි කල්චරල් ඉම්පැක්ට් එක ගොඩක් වැඩි. දැන් ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාව ගත්තොත් මල්ටි කල්චරල් ඩිසිප්ලින් එක ගොඩක් වැඩිනේ. ඒතකොට ඒවල හම්බෙනවා ඊශ්‍රායලෙන් USA ඉංග්ලන්ඩ් ඕමම අමුතු කන්ටැක්ට්ස් හම්බෙනවා. අපිට ඒ ඉන්ෆ්ලුවන්ස් එක හරි අඩුයි. ඉතින් ඕක තමයි මට මෙන්ෂන් කරන්න ඕන. ලයිෆ් එකේ අලුත් මිනිස්සු හරිම වැදගත්. ඒගොල්ලෝ ඔයාව එලිවේට් කරනවා හිතන්න නැති විදියට. ඒක තමයි ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න ඕන.
Thank you, Indika. I like the word of I see something in you. So maybe Maitri would highlight it as a standing out personality through CV. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. The audience, you have been a great audience. So, staying until 10:15. So, I will give 1 minute each for all the resource personnel to wind up and conclude and give your final thoughts. I'll start from Maitri.
Guys, you have been told this multiple times. You are the cream of the society, right? Yes, of course you are, but don't let it get into your head so much. You have to be humble in the meantime also, right? We are starting as fresh graduates and we are starting in industry like a small baby who's starting to crawl and then stand up. So let's have both aspects, you know. It's a well-known factor of our intellects and what we have learned and the academic acumen. But in the meantime, we are going into an industry where people have been there for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, their lifetime, right? So there is a lot to learn. So let us take a good gauge of our knowledge and in terms of experience where we stand. And I would like to wish all the very, very best for everyone who is going out there and starting a career.
Thank you, Maitri, and thanks a lot, and thanks for your time and your preparation and your contribution for today's session. Thanks a lot. And Randika, can we have our conclusive note, please? You're muted, Randika.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of connectivity problems today. As a closing remark, I just want to mention that being able to learn new skills on the job will make a differentiator for you. Do that. Keep your eyes open. Don't just focus on what you learn at uni or any other degree. Just keep your eyes open, develop your skill sets, and sky is the limit. You guys have a lot more opportunities to learn and adapt and acquire new skills than we have had. So I really sincerely hope that all of you will go on to conquer the industry, the multinationals, and make a name for our country, and pave the way for our younger generations as well. All the very best.
Thank you, Randhika. Thanks a lot, and thanks for your all contribution as well. Indica, shall we have our final remarks, please?
Yeah. Maybe 2.5 years back, I did my 5th scuba diving, open water diving in Trincomalee. I could remember when I go down about 15 meters water level, it was planned to watch a shipwreck. So just to see what's happening under the water. There were thousands of beautiful fishes around me, right? I bet nobody has seen it. Okay? You should risk yourself to a certain level to get the harvest. Only people seen that will enjoy on the spot. Okay? So risk management to get something is always there. So try it and see how you can get the harvest. Thank you.
Thank you, Indika. Thanks a lot, and thanks for creating that vivid imagination of. I felt for a moment that just watching that Titanic movie, the starting of the Titanic movie, just going down.
Absolutely, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, we have seen it through a screen, but I think you have seen it by your naked eyes. So thanks a lot, Indika.
No
opening
worries.
our eyes, and both.
And thank you for the opportunity. It's a great honor to share this panel both with my colleagues and with all those who have completed their degree, and we welcome them to the industry and to the society as humans and very good, strong engineers to the society. That's what we expect. Thank you,
Indika, and for your all information that few batches are having their mid-semester exams starting from tomorrow onwards. Therefore, that's why we have a lack of participation today. But we have recorded the whole program, it's about 2 hours session through YouTube, and we'll be sharing those insights with everybody. And again, thank you, Indika, for opening our eyes, and again, Maitri and Randhika for your thoughtful insights. And I believe that we have done fairly a reasonable job to give our messages with our experience to the new generation. And with that remark, ladies and gentlemen, let's conclude the session from MPlus Project Execution Team. On behalf of MPlus Project Execution Team, I thank you all. And this is our December forum from MPlus, and we'll be having another session on monthly basis, and let's meet at our January session at the mid of January, or hopefully at the end of January. Thanks a lot, and have a pleasant evening. Good night.